"What are you doing?" my mother-in-law exclaimed sharply the moment I walked in and took my seat. She rolled her eyes, and my husband chuckled quietly to himself. I held her gaze silently. "What's that look?" she sneered, her lips curling into a condescending smile. "You can't even speak, and now you're making that arrogant face?" she added. "You're here at the wedding acting like a complete nuisance. You'd better leave soon." Her words struck like a slap, but neither she nor my husband realized that their reckoning was just around the corner. "My name is Catalina. I'm 28 years old. I live with my husband, Andres, and his mother in my in-laws' house. I have a condition called total mutism, which means I've completely lost the ability to speak. It's often triggered by stress, and my case is no exception." "Oh, you scared me. Are you there?" "If you're here, at least answer me," my mother-in-law called out. I froze in the doorway, lowering my gaze, unsure how to respond. A wave of helplessness swept over me, but as always, I stayed silent. "You're just standing there in silence. Yeah, you can't talk," she added with a sneer. "It's so inconvenient that you can't speak. You're such a bad wife, just useless. Now come on, get ready for dinner." Unable to say anything, I turned and headed toward the kitchen to start preparing the meal. I want to get out of here, but my parents died early, and I have no relatives to turn to. Since I can't talk, I won't be able to survive on my own. No one will hire me, so now I have no choice but to cling to my in-laws. My husband came home just as I finished cooking dinner. "Welcome home. Dinner is ready. Let's eat," my mother-in-law said to him with a smile. I cooked the dinner, and I'm the one who serves it, but my mother-in-law welcomes my husband into the dining room with a proud look on her face. "Oh, it smells so good," Andre said. "I wonder if it's curry today. I'm so hungry. Can I eat first?" "Don't let the smell fool you," my mother-in-law interjected. "You never know what's in it. I'll taste it first." "Never know what's in it. That's a terrible thing to say," Andres muttered, but didn't argue further. No matter how mean my mother-in-law is, my husband never defends me. I would never put anything in the food. "Oh no, what is this? What's wrong with it? It's disgusting," my mother-in-law cried. "Andres, don't eat it," she demanded as she flipped the plate of curry and the pot into the sink. "What's that look on your face?" she snapped at me. "Like you're trying to tell me I'm doing something wrong? Because it's bad, of course. This is not something one should eat. I really feel sorry for Andres because his wife is a horrible cook. I wish she knew how to cook well like me. I was so hungry. You can't waste food like that," Andres tried to reason. "You know how much I care about my boy," my mother-in-law replied. "But this wasn't Mom's fault. Catalina ruined all the food by cooking such awful dishes. I wasted food, and it's okay to throw away my food? What a jerk." "That's right," my mother-in-law said. "Let's order Andres' favorite sushi today." "Oh, that's a great idea," Andres agreed. "I'm not ordering anything for you, though," his mother added, shooting me a pointed look. Days like this went on and on until one day I suddenly became ill. But there is only one saving grace in this house, my sister-in-law Blake, who comes to visit me every once in a while. "Hello, Catalina. How are you feeling?" she'd ask warmly every time we saw each other. My sister-in-law is my only ally. She usually works abroad and rarely comes back. But when she comes back, she calls me right away. "Well, I guess you're not at your best yet. I hope you'll be able to talk soon. Oh, by the way, I brought this for you," she said. What my sister-in-law handed me was a wedding invitation. "Congratulations!" I signed, smiling and clapping for her. "Thank you. I met a nice guy at work. Catalina, please be sure to come to the wedding," Blake said. My sister-in-law went out of her way to personally hand me the invitation, despite her busy schedule. That evening, my mother-in-law was visibly displeased. "It's only natural that we're invited, but why did she invite Catalina too?" she complained. "I guess because she's my wife," Andres responded hesitantly. "It's not like she had to, though," my mother-in-law replied. "Just because they're your relatives doesn't mean they should all be invited." "Isn't that normal?" my husband asked. I don't see why she had to include her, his mother retorted. It's as if she was forced to invite her. My sister-in-law is not like my mother-in-law or my husband in any way. She's probably more similar to my father-in-law. On the day of the wedding, I was left behind by my mother-in-law and my husband. It seems they left while I was in the bathroom. I don't understand why they would treat me this way. As I think about it, I wonder, could I find a job even if I struggled to speak? A thought crosses my mind. I've been relying on them because of my illness, but maybe I could work if I reached out to support centers or organizations that help people with disabilities. Yeah, I will get a divorce, I decided firmly. I can't stand to continue living like this, but my sister-in-law has done so much for me. I want to celebrate her special day, at least for the last time. So I walked to the station and took a cab. I typed the destination into my phone and showed it to the driver. The driver then dropped me at the venue. When I arrived and sat down in my seat, my mother-in-law rolled her eyes at me while my husband just laughed. What are you doing? My mother-in-law demanded. I looked at her silently. What's that look? She sneered. You stayed quiet because you couldn't talk, and now you're giving me this cocky look. You have such a twisted character. You didn't even belong here, so we left you behind. You knew that, didn't you? And yet here you are at the wedding, a real pain in the ass. You better get out of here soon. She spat, her voice dripping with contempt, her eyes narrowing as she leaned in to emphasize her disdain. Oh, come on. That's enough, Andre said. Now that she's here, let's all celebrate Blake's new life together. Look, the ceremony is about to start. As the music swelled, I focused my attention on the ceremony. Blake walked down the aisle, radiant in her wedding dress, her happiness lighting up the entire room. For now, I decided to let their words roll off my back. This day was about her, not them, and I wasn't going to let their bitterness ruin it. I couldn't help but admire her so much that I forgot about my mother-in-law and my husband. After the candlelight service, we had a short free time, so I went to see my sister-in-law. I smiled at her and applauded. Catalina, thank you for coming today, Blake said warmly. I showed my phone to her. Of course, let's take a picture together, she suggested. My sister-in-law is truly a warm-hearted person. She understands everything I want to say. As you'd expect from her, her other friends are crowding the table to see her. I bowed and returned to my seat. Then my mother-in-law held a glass of wine in front of me and poured it upside down on my chair while looking me in the eyes. What is she doing? I stared at her in shock. Oh no, I spilled my wine, she said with mock innocence. Yeah, right. On purpose, I thought. Now there's no seat for you. Go home, she exclaimed. The staff rushed over to get me a new chair. Don't do anything unnecessary, my mother-in-law snapped at them. She's leaving, so it's okay. You guys can go do your other jobs. My husband was just laughing and didn't even try to stop her. All I wanted was to celebrate my sister-in-law. That purpose had been accomplished. I turned my back on them and started walking toward the exit. Wait a minute, my sister-in-law called, grabbing my arm. I couldn't help but burst into tears at the sight of her desperate look. It's okay. I'm sorry I didn't notice before, she said gently, hugging me. Then she turned her attention to my mother-in-law and my husband. She walked up to them and smacked my husband. Andres, you're an asshole. Who should protect Catalina? She angrily asked her brother. My husband began to stammer. Don't you say, I'm asking, who should protect Catalina? My sister-in-law demanded. Well, Andres stammered. My sister-in-law raised her fist again. Me, it's me. I'm sorry, Andres blurted out. That's right, it's you. What were you doing now? She asked him. Andres didn't answer, and my sister-in-law slapped him across the left cheek. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was laughing, he replied, starting to cry. I couldn't help but laugh at my sister-in-law's relentless attack, but she was very serious. Everything she did it for me. I really appreciated it. She was letting me vent all the feelings I'd been holding back. I guess I can't raise my hand against my own parents, she said, glaring at my mother-in-law. Oh, come on, my mother-in-law scoffed. There's no need to get so angry. I'm just being a little playful. Right, Catalina? I just stared at my sister-in-law and didn't react. Playful? And Catalina can't even talk anymore, my sister-in-law said coldly. Catalina's illness is caused by you guys. Did you tell her about it? She demanded of her relatives. My mother-in-law gave me a nasty look. My sister-in-law laughed at her hopelessly. Of course, Catalina wouldn't say such a thing. Looking at the situation, it's obvious whose fault it is, isn't it? And you just rebuild it yourself. You guys really are horrible. Catalina, I'll get you a new seat, so I hope you stay until the end. I'm kicking these two assholes out now, my sister-in-law concluded. My mother-in-law and my husband were kicked out by the staff. I'm sorry for the disturbance, Blake apologized sincerely. Now that the mean old lady and her friend are gone, enjoy the rest of the ceremony. I didn't go back to the house after that. My sister-in-law got me an apartment. She acted very quickly. As soon as the ceremony was over, she contacted a real estate agent she knew. She put me up for free as company housing for her husband's company. She confirmed my intention, and when I told her that I wanted a divorce, she even provided me with a lawyer. Thanks to this, my divorce from my husband went smoothly. Again, my sister-in-law supported me, and she recommended that I get alimony from my husband and mother-in-law. According to the lawyer, she was able to get them to pay more than the typical alimony, since they were the main cause of my illness. 3 months after the divorce, my illness is under control. There's no cure for this disease, so I don't know when the symptoms will come back, but the source of my stress is gone. I'm hoping that the symptoms will never come back. My husband and mother-in-law wanted to see me to apologize, but I refused. I never want to see their faces again. I don't even want to hear their voices. Catalina, are you ready? My sister-in-law asked. Yes, sister, I replied. Okay, let's go, she said. I'm coming to the US with my sister-in-law and her husband because they hired me as a nanny and a helper. Right now, my sister-in-law is 3 months pregnant. She's planning to go back to her work after the baby is born. She wanted to hire a trustworthy nanny, so she asked me if I would be up for it. I said yes right away. I'll arrange for you to be an employee of my husband's company, and we can apply for a visa when the time comes, she explained. Thank you, I responded, grateful. I'm so happy now. I had no idea at the time that my life would take such a turn. I'm really looking forward to the rest of my life.